Oh, we are live. Gonna just give people a couple more minutes. What's up, Alex? Uh, Okay, we can get started. All right. Hello, punks. Spar, you gonna give some more advice today? All right. So, third day of the public practice week. I'll be guiding you today. Um, I guess the first thing is that I woke up at 2 a.m. today. Talked to one of the participants who I stayed with in Europe yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, I've been like soaking in transmission, all energetic, couldn't sleep for 3 days." That's pretty much me the entire boot camp. I don't think I've gotten more than like 5 or 4 hours of sleep for the last like 3 months. But this is the last week, so. All right, so I think the first thing to mention is to drop all expectations. Like you might have an idea of what this transmission thing is. You hear people talking about in the chat yesterday. Drop all expectations about experiences. Are you thinking about transmissions? Like experiences are not the goal, right? You can have positive, neutral, negative experiences. And like so talking about yesterday, the key really is to stay with these experiences. Having the fitness to just be with whatever's arising. That was Albert's session yesterday. And today we're gonna build on top of that. Yeah. And then set an intention. Because wherever your intention is, your attention will go there. And today it's all about sustaining your attention. The intention really is just stay aware. That's it. To observe and stay aware. Stay awake, rap after rap. That's where the fitness is. That's all you have to do. Oh yeah. I was just thinking like each cohort, we just iterate and gets a little better every time, and how each cohort builds on the previous one. Like all the practices and all the gains, all the fitness gained from the previous cohorts, you guys are receiving that right now. That's part of the transmission. And just by showing up here, even if you don't decide to sign up for cohort 8, just by being here, you have an effect on previous cohorts and future ones. Yeah. That's really remember to know that transmission or any type of relation doesn't work linearly. It's like a mandala. Instead of I'm giving you a transmission, cause and effect, cause really is an effect. An effect is in a cause and there's zero distance. So just by you guys showing up here, the transmission is co-created. Not just across space, like here, but across time. Like all these different lines of cause and conditioning coming together. Think about all the lines and cause and conditionings that have to occur at this precise moment for this presentation, transmission, meeting, whatever you want to call it, to happen. That in itself is already the transmission. And building on top of Albert's transmission yesterday, which is also part of today's transmission, he asks you to feel the feelings. Be open to all the feelings. Don't grasp onto pleasant sensations. Neither do you want to dissociate or run away from unpleasant sensations. So today we're just going to be aware, aware of, let's use the breath as an anchor first, because that's what Albert did yesterday. So we can even start right now. Just relax the eyeballs and any tensions, especially in the head. Neither grasping nor dissociating. So with the middle way is right. The middle way is not really a point in between two extremes and not moderation. Is that what transcends would include all extremes? So when you observe, there's a tendency to contract your attention or to dissociate by trying to expand. A lot of people, when they come from a Vipassana background, they would automatically try to dissect every single those particles of the breath. We don't really need to do that. You can just, in a very open kind of way, maybe you can use like, it's just an arbitrary number, but like 5% of your attention on the breath for now. but remain really open and spacious. The other side of the extreme of trying to dissect every single particle, the breath or any sensation is to expand. We don't need to try to make presence wider or even trying to open it up. It's already fully present. It's the grasping or the overexpanding or dissociating that creates the obscurations. If you still have your eyes closed, you can open, you can kind of just make the whole field of vision equalize in a way where your peripheral vision isn't that much more blurry than your focus of attention. So once the mind is stabilized enough, sent into the breath, you can start to observe the rising and ceasing of all the other sensations in the field, thoughts, sound, sight, body sensations. Neither resisting nor not resisting. And the problem with not staying lucid is you're not curious enough about the texture of sensations or the quality of sensations. So just be a little bit more curious on the texture of sensations, like walking around a sculpture, a holographic sculpture, and just really investigate what is this made out of. There's another reason for lacking lucidity is the inability to stay with the feelings. When there's no fitness to stay with whatever's arising, you get strayed away by emotions, feelings, obscurations, and afflictions. And so let's just go back to the original intention of rep after rep, staying with whatever is arising, neither grasping nor dissociating. See if you can really tease out the patterns of your formations, the patterns of your feelings, arising and ceasing. And just let whatever cycle of formation, feelings, run its own course. Any type of attempt to grasp is going to create that second dart where there's just going to be more resistance. Another problem is the flow becomes sticky. When the flow is sticky, you can go become more curious of the texture. It's at the subtle level of sensations is so interesting that it's hard not to be lucid and just see how interesting everything is. And when you feel like you're overcontracting, just take your feet off of the brake for a little bit. And see all the sensations, breath, sound of my voice. It's being impermanent, but the impermanence has a certain pattern, certain ways of compounding that is specific to you. Once you stabilize that flow, you can start to really recognize the patterns. A lot of them are recurring themes, thoughts, feelings, and we're not trying to get rid of these afflictions if they're even afflicted. They're only afflicted if you don't see the nature of experiences constantly in change, lacking inherent existence, and without a separate self. It is through the flow of these sensations that we can really start to see the true nature of phenomenons. It's empty of permanence, and empty of impermanence. So even if you find yourself in a sticky situation, that's okay. Still self-empty. All constraints, all constrictions are self-empty. You feel like you're contracting too hard, or if you're focusing too hard, and then there's a sense of a solid observer, that too is impermanent. That too is codependent arising with that which is trying to observe. So there's no need to get rid of anything. The fact that the observer codependent arises with the observed in the process of observation only affirms their empty nature. And after a while, you see that there's no need for an observer to pretend to look at or observe the breath and sensations, thoughts, feelings. Every sensation, all phenomena are self complete, self liberated. Just feel and be aware. The self liberating nature of sensations will give us the insight that we don't need to dissolve any conditionings. Because there's this tendency to make that a goal because of wrong view of either annihilation or nihilism, where you think you're only done when you dissolve every speck of the self or conditionings. But karma is a way of sorting themselves out. All you have to do is be with the sensations, positive, neutral, negative, and recognize. And then the sensations, the conditionings, or refragment, repattern, rehabituated. If you find your mind grasping, focusing too hard to tease out the patterns, seeing the details of arising and ceasing. It's okay, you don't resist that. Just like the fact that solidity only affirms its lack of inherency, contraction only affirms expansion. You see that they're part of the same cycle, and that there's a knowing that's beyond, would include contraction and expansion, beyond but include. Nothing can touch it, no conditions can touch it, but it's not apart from any conditionings, sensations. You don't have to look for it, it can get closer or further away from it. Just feel and observe. Let mind observe itself. It's an unchanging field of presence beyond all the rising and ceasing, but it's not apart from the rising and ceasing. there's a certain, not just patterns of your feelings and sensations, formations always arising and ceasing, arising and ceasing simultaneously. There's a pattern to the way that the karmas are compounded and decompounded, reinforced and conditioned. That pattern, those conditions, is not apart from the luminous nature of presence. So essentially, we're tapping into presence, which is not your present or my present, but it's not a part from each and every one of us. And it's when that presence illuminates your patterns, we can call that your beingness, because it has a pattern, because it flows. There's a orientation or a trajectory to its becoming. Mm. So there's a pattern to the flow of your sensations, to the shape, to the way that your conditionings, phenomena compound and decompound, contracting and expanding simultaneously. And that pattern, we can call that your being. And that luminous nature of mind or presence that is not yours or mine, but is not apart from each and every one of us. The dance between being and presence is kind of makes up who you are. And there's the when presence illuminates being. So this whole practice has been tapping into presence, illuminating being, and seeing the patterns in which being unfold. And there's a certain geometry to this dance between the three dimensions of space, that's presence, and the one dimension of time that goes in a direction that has an orientation, a trajectory. And here we call it karmic trajectory, in which when phenomena compound, it creates a volition, and that volition creates a certain trajectory, and that trajectory makes you who you are. And I think a lot of the spiritual circles we are familiar with the teachings of presence. Just tap into that luminous nature of mind, the boundlessness, the self-knowing, boundless presence. But then there's not a lot of emphasis on the beingness part of what you are. And there's a certain geometry to this. It feels like a four-dimensional spheroid. And each of us is just this spheroid that's rolling, just rolling. Where does it go? There's not a lot of emphasis on seeing the becoming, like the time, the temporal aspect of being a present. So when we illuminate being through presence, you can see that even in the meditation I was experiencing the illumination of being from presence, and their presence can be one. I can aggregate as myself, and at the same time I was each one of you. So presence is both the one the many, but sorry, being is both one of the many, but presence is neither one of the many. So this relationship and this dance between being and presence not only illuminate your nature, but how you are. Not just the substance, the nature of mind, but where does your particular incarnation, where does it orient towards? So once we started at first tease out the just the tiny patterns of our emotions and feelings, eventually we can open up our aperture to receive this multidimensional spheroid that's rolling, but it's not really going anywhere either. But there is a shape-shifting process that's constantly going on. When you take this to the extreme, it's not like presence is apart from being, it's not observant being. It's more like being in presence has this inseparable dance. You're not really observing beingness from a specific vantage point of like, oh, nowhere or non-locality. But just by beingness, it's already illuminated. Just by coming as you are, you're already illuminated. All right. I guess already you can slowly cool down and get ready to enter the discussion space. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I thought my mic was working because Adrian sent me a message that I was muted, so but it was his mic that was off.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, bro. Sorry.
Okay.
Tina says she wants to share, but she can't raise her hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got it. Let's take a look at the poll first before we go in there.
Okay. Hmm. Tina? Oh, sorry. We gotta look at the poll first.
Okay, let's see what our poll has to say about today. Let's have 10 more seconds. I see some also finishing up on that. All right, there we go. So one of the things that Frank was taking us through is to be aware and to be lucid throughout the session. So from 0 to be barely there to 10 will be unbroken contact, constant, uninterrupted lucidity. And I'll say, okay, got a nice spread. Majority set 7, but there seems to be more people who has less than that. How many times did we get distracted and drifted away? Okay, once again, nice distribution. Too many to count, more than 15 times, around 10 times, less than 3 times as 5 people. Okay. How did you recover from your distraction? The most popular one is just let go and be aware. Uh, Second most is a close tie between remember my intention and observe the distraction until they pass on their own. Less less popular one is come back to the breath and use the distraction as object of meditation. How was it for the instructors as well, for Albert and Jace?
You mean in relation to the poll questions or just in general?
Oh, just in general and the session itself for you guys to transmission. I have to say for me, it was a lot of hatred and anger comes up towards Frank, funny enough,
Mm.
because I think like the last time that I heard Frank in this mode was a while ago, right? Like Frank, you haven't really been doing guided meditation in CC. Most of the session is done by our head teacher Mei Chen. So in this kind of position today, it actually takes me back to all the way back when I started CC. And then I was seeing that being and this being and all the tension and the dynamic I have with Frank in 3 years. It just and there's like, I mean,
Interesting.
we worked together for 3 years, so there's just a lot of that, right? So just eat through all that tension of building CCs together. Sometimes that Frank would go off, like doing something else, and I would take care of everything, and that's fucking stressful and blah blah blah. But those things were just cycling through. But yeah, precisely then we're just allowing the texture to comes up, recognizing that there is this momentum. Uh, and we said it in one of the live stream, but yeah, in TC, a lot of times we work together, we work hard, it's 7 days a week. A lot of times, only until very recently that we take Sunday off, but it was a long 2+ years, 7 days a week. And yeah, a lot of tension, a lot of stress. And sometimes we have difficulties and we give each other critical, harsh feedback. Um, yeah, in hopes of building a better program for people and to grow ourselves. So yeah, it's also become more and more comfortable to have differences and sit through it, have the fitness to be confrontational. It's like, yeah, there could be that sense of um like hatred and anger, but also like recognizing that there is love and um appreciation, and together they can coexist within an environment. And I would say that is the kind of mature love that a lot of people in CC are training for. Because like then we apply that to uh, our partner, our spouses, our wife, our husband, even our kids, right? Even some of the people in CC like, oh, I have to admit I hate my kid. And that would allow them to move beyond their current constriction, not allowing those range of texture to come up. I'm like, wow, my wife's evil. And I need to stop pretending that she's not. Things like that. Yeah, just very challenging stuff. But I still love my wife. That's the tricky thing. Is like you lean in, yeah, but you're also not
I mean,
naive.
or even I am evil, right?
You know, I am evil. I also have all this dark side. And it'd be silly to deny that part.
Mm.
And then just allowing all these to arise and cease, and allow the stickiness to wash itself away until it become, yeah, no
Yeah.
longer stick.
Yeah. I can see why, I mean, I was hesitating quite a bit when you asked like how was the sit. And then as you were speaking, I think it's true there were quite a bit of like emotionality because I think being in close proximity with Frank, you start to really see the sort of kind of vast variations of Frank. And it's quite interesting just be staring at him and him being so still. Yeah, like you say, I mean, I actually haven't, other than his older videos where I felt like he was like in the zone. Um, but in the boot camp, I don't think I've actually seen. Frank guide meditation. But
Yeah.
and it was quite emotional for me. And at some point I feel like it's almost like it was actually very still and spacious at one point. But at the same time then noticing the emotionality of almost feeling like, oh wow, like the boy has grown up kind of feeling.
Thank you, Jess. I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but it's interesting to hear.
Albert, do you have any comment before we going through some of the participants, some of the folks here?
Not particularly. It was very peaceful for me and really nice to hear you, Frank. Kind of remind me of watching your videos, actually. Just like your voice and the narration of it.
Mhm.
I think you should do more guidance.
Thanks,
I think
Yeah. But okay,
just to
let's
remind
Yeah.
Tina, right? Tina
yeah,
is in
let's do
the
Tina
recent
first
chat.
because she mentioned in the chat first.
Can you hear fine?
Hey Tina.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey, Tina.
Nice to see you all.
Just a little bit soft, I think. But can you guys hear her?
A little bit soft, but yeah, we can
Yeah.
still hear.
Let me quickly check the settings. Yeah, I think it's the best I can do. Oh wait, is that better? Yeah.
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 Um yeah, I don't know. Okay. There were a lot of things coming up, a lot of ideas, thoughts, sensations, and yeah, I think I want to start with gratitude because it's something that I'm writing this like 6-minute diary at the moment, and there's this like, okay, you have to write things that you're grateful for in the like morning, in the evening, and like yeah, to connect to that like sincere gratitude was something that I only recently felt, and it's yeah. Something I feel towards this space or container that you created. I was like writing to Khan a message on the Instagram just about like some ideas of what you're doing and like tools of learning and like feedback you have of your own thought process and your development and so on and so forth. And it's really, yeah, as you said in the introduction, it's quite unique what you do. Yeah, I think it will be helpful for a lot of people. So really nice. And you also mentioned that you were angry with Frank, and I remember that moment very clearly. We were there in Berlin, and Edward was frustrated because yeah, you were trying to reach Frank, and I know this. I don't know. It felt like the outburst before the calm that I've experienced with you, and yeah, my ex-partner Jörg, he was he was kind of disappointed in spiritual people after that.
Good.
That's probably the appropriate response. Spiritual people are pretty disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, but so good that it's, you know, that you work together and learn from each other and others too. It's very
Yeah.
powerful. And like the first day of transmission, I will now go a little bit about how it felt. yeah, like I don't know, it was just the excitement or Khan's energy or everyone's, just like, you know, the first day, but it felt so, yeah, like I would use these descriptive terms like masculine and very warrior-like, and you know, like straightforward, dissolving, like very strong. Yeah, a lot of heat. Then on the second day, I joined a little bit late, but it was really the opposite and very calm and yeah, feminine, peaceful, drifty, fluid. Yeah, like also different approach. So I start to get sense of maybe like your approaches, like you as people. And today, it was the word that came up was very seamless. So it's like very natural. Yeah, just natural, seamless.
I'm curious, Tina, is it similar to is this style that we're doing similar to your ongoing practice?
Uh, that there's I have a hard time formulating what my practice is really, because it's like bits and pieces, but something that I naturally drift towards is like, for example, I'm doing more of Angelo's meditation, so it's like through like very somatic and through maybe hearing the sounds, feeling the space.
Yeah.
So it's very bodily, and that's something that today I was in a lot of thoughts, and thoughts sometimes feel heavy, but then there's this constant reminder to of them, just that there are thoughts, and it's also a sort of sensation. And then I had to think of it as something like that we can feel very physical. For example, a cold shower. It's the same kind of thing. Like um, to not resist a cold shower is not to resist thoughts. I don't know. I had this like first time I did bufo. The next day I took a really cold shower. It really felt nice, and it was like not a nerve moved in my body, and it felt such a mm, yeah, such an important experience that you can then apply to many things. And then I had to think of pain that you intentionally like physical pain that you do for your own good, like they're like paida or with needles, stuff like this, and then you're aware that this is not a bad pain, but kind of a good pain, and then you welcome it and you want to go through it. So that's also a very nice experience where you can learn a lot about non-duality and the state, because you kind of let it pass through you extremely quickly at such a speed that you don't feel it anymore. And yeah, so I have these like little personal practices that I come up with myself, and then I apply it for thoughts. And for example, today I was just welcoming these thoughts, and it's very hard to describe these but everything that you say, you're very, like, especially Khan, you're very articulate about it, and I appreciate that very much. Super clear. Yeah, I'm very happy that there's a container like that, what you describe. And for me personally, I moved away from Berlin to live in the mountains of Caucasus.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Tina. It's Tom here. Hi.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, how are you? Thanks
Good.
for sharing so much. I just want to remind you there's about 4 or 5 people also with their hands up, so
Sure.
just to leave space for other people as well, please.
Of course. Thank you for...
But finish your point if you want to finish, but yeah, just remember there's other people too. Thank
Of
you.
course. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's that then. It's not so important what I wanted to say.
Yeah, we really appreciate you sharing that, Tina. Yeah, there's a lot of the varieties of flavors and styles of the instructors. Like that's what I want to get at in day one, where there will be different strength that we focus on solving very particular problems that usually meditators have. For example, today I think Frank was really gearing people towards, yeah, how like you were saying, the seamless aspect of it. How do we have an unbroken contact with our direct experience, be it thoughts, be it distraction, and we could just rebound, rebound, rebound. Then restaurant style, just constantly rebounding back to center, back to center, back to center in that way. While yesterday it was more of the gentle, the kind of sensuality, the kind of somatic embodiment that Albert leading people in to make us come alive again. And tomorrow, I think will be tomorrow probably going to be the hardest day. So that'll be interesting to see Taylor's cracking our mind open. Taylor, I would say is yeah, tomorrow will be interesting. But thank you for sharing, Tina. Other instructors, you guys have any comment on Tina? And otherwise, we can go to next one.
Yeah. Nothing.
See you around, Tina. Antony?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you so much. I'm like very, very happy to be here. And these 3 days, I feel like more doubt and more confusion is coming up. And I kind of feel like very like kind of passionlessness, like without passion. And I can have basically like deep samadhis, but like there's like no insight. And basically I kind of have these things on retreats that I can have like very, very good experience, like very high like arupa jhanas or even like micro cessations, but that in these states there are no like insight. And also on other retreats where I've been, like darkness retreat and other retreats, and also like some huge like 5 ML sessions, I had like these crazy experiences, but insights are not big. Maybe like the biggest insight I get was in when I started doing the like some instrument I had 5 years ago, but there was some kind of a like huge opening of anatta of like no self, but I can see it's like fading out, and after these 5 years, I'm basically where I was in the beginning. So my question is like how to deepen or get the or recognize the insight and lock it or like embody it and become it, because I see that I can have deep samadhi, but there's like no panya. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think precisely like you laid it out, right? There could be the samadhi aspect, but the prajna is a whole different ballgame. If we just focus on samadhi, yeah, sure, we can become more effective at absorption. We can become very skillful at maneuvering on how to stay absorbed in all those ways. It doesn't mean that there is this fundamental shift in how we see the interconnectedness, like Frank was talking about being in presence today. So how does that happen is we're saying that, okay, first we have to get to some level of samadhi, but then the pointing out or the like the carefully going into the cognitive fixation and uproot that. Like that's the focus of tomorrow, with Taylor going in precisely about like how do we rest the fundamental separation to recognize inseparability, because that's the insight we're running for, right? The self-emptiness realization of how it is so that this seemingly we know it's not like a single self that is unchanging. That's pretty much like extremely simple to get. Right? It's like everybody knows this. It's so simple. Yet why do we still live like that? Well, because it's an addiction. It's an ontological addiction. Like we are addicted to this erroneous, persistent habit of seeing and embodying as ourself. So moving away from that addiction is very tricky, because now the self that is addicted is also very good at meditation. So that's why, like, at times that people think only meditation is about hitting a certain state and all those things. It doesn't really translate into realization at all. It's just like a more, like a stronger, calmer self, which is cool, right? Like, relatively speaking, that's like accomplished a lot of things. And we, you know, a lot of people want that. But Antony, if you want like the realization, the lock-in of insight, the view to be embodied, and you live like that, and you know, different chain. And that could be the case that, yeah, what is it about your embodiment that is refusing to let go at that level, that refuse to rest, that want to have like that base of conceit, that base of I'm over here and everybody's over there. But without a samadhi that you have cultivated on these 5 years, we wouldn't be able to carefully pin that down. So in CC, I'm also saying that this question probably I can't solve it, or I don't think instructors here can solve it just like one thing immediately. Right? We don't have the kind of relationship like that yet. But usually this kind of thing in CC will be solved by getting to know each other, starting to see your patterns, and then starting to see like, oh, you just can't let that go, can you? Like, you just can't do it. You just can't go beyond that part. For some of us, that could be a sense of right and wrong. That's usually very, very popular. It must be like life must be good, right? God must be good, right? I'm not saying that's you, but that's a very popular one. Or like, I must help everybody. Everybody should know this. Like those kind of moralistic impulse that we carry, that we want to make a meaning out of this. So there's this ontological addiction that just cannot let go. And it's a big topic. Other instructors or Tom, you have comments for Antony's question?
I think it's just refining your relationship with the fact that a huge part of our time when we are practicing, living life, meditating, nothing is happening. But what kind of relationship do you have with that sort of mundaneness, so-called mundane? And yeah, I still remember in cohort 5, I wrote something in my training log that a huge part of the time, like meditating, just feel like having sex without orgasm. So this constant, what defining what insight means. Also, I think this sort of relationship with what we think insight is, and what we have to feel or experience in order for something to be an insight. I think sometimes also takes a lot of refinement.
Yeah. Albert, do you see this case to also be somewhat common? People cultivate a lot of samadhi, there is stability in their experience, but they just kind of go around and around.
I mean, it's in the beginning, it's always said that wisdom is never an experience.
Right.
So we can categorically throw away all experience. Another teacher said there's garbage in the goddess. I think it's Adida. And spiritual experiences are just the goddess, and everything else is garbage. And both need to be tossed out. So there's a way where we just get, we associate a state or an experience with an insight, or We want to be better people, want to be more functional. But that's not wisdom at the end of the day, nor is it realization. And then if you really need someone to tease that out for you, you know what I mean? Your time and deeds. So I don't know. I think it happens a lot actually in online communities where people claim they have non-dual experiences. They can't discern that from insight. They can't discern that from realization, right? It's like did I freeze?
A little bit. It's good now.
It's okay. That's all I have to say.
Spitting too hot. Internet bandwidth can't take it.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Wisdom is not an experience, so throw away your own experience. In this regard, it could serve as a big like reality humility check. Because otherwise we kind of bargain with the situation, right? I have all these experience. It must be so that this should be happening by now.
I think it's just a wrong view because like when we say this, people are just make that split again between experience and non-experience as throwaway experience. But I kept saying the experience is not apart from wisdom, but no experiences and no conditions can touch it. And that requires the right view to even tease that out.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Antony. Yeah, you can revisit this tomorrow with Taylor here as well. I think tomorrow session could be quite relevant for this particular case.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next one, we got Ramon. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, Ramon.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, first I just want to say that I'm grateful to be able to have this experience and part of, this community. I've never been able to, or I've never even had to talk about, what a sit felt like or what I've been going through. So I think it's nice to kind of have this opportunity. So thank you all. I think one of my questions or something that came up during my sit was, Frank was talking about, being aware. And I guess my question is while I was being aware during my sit and then feeling present, is awareness and presence connected, or when does awareness become presence? Or, I think, or is there a differentiation between the two? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just for context a little bit, Frank in the cool down speech today mentioned presence and being.
Yeah.
But today is day 3 of this week. But usually to get to that point of talking about that is usually at week 9 in the 12 weeks. And it's continuously. Because even to get to the being, we go through the 5 aggregates. That take 5 weeks. So we go to the aggregates of feeling, aggregate of form, aggregate of formation or fabrication, then go into perception, and then go into consciousness, vijnana. Consciousness here means divided knowing in that way. It's a very, very precise definition of consciousness, vijnana. Then from vijnana, that split, we go into the unsplit or the united consciousness, the jnana. So in that regard, at week 5, we are trained to come back to the totality of our being, just fully being ourselves with the feeling, the forms, the perception, and everything. and then allow that to cease. The train to have a cessation around week 5, week 6. So from week 5, then as it ceases, what remains? Now we finally have a ground to talk about presence. So that week 6, just to have it cease again and again and again. That's why in the boot camp, week 5 and 6 is very, very hard for a lot of people, because you don't want to cease. Not just like a, oh, okay, I'm gonna see a zone out. No, like fully be yourself and then let it die. And let it die again. Let it die again. And as heats come out and all those things. So once we have a base of what does it mean to be ourselves, and what does it mean to go beyond ourselves into presence, and then we can have this dance. So awareness and presence is kind of like categorically a different thing. So it's more like being and presence. Yeah. And then once we have touched on being and presence by week 6, on that dance is the remaining of the latter 6 weeks. On the way to starting to on week 10, week 11 is you dance that dance between being and present while living your life. Now the practice is just all pervasive. You can't say, oh, this is a meditation, it's going on here, and I have my life over there. By week 11, the point of the structure of CC is that your life has become an ongoing retreat.
Thank you.
Frank, you have any comment on this as well?
Uh, right now, I was just gonna say I kind of refrain from mentioning like aggregations and stuff like that. But
There's a lot of
yeah,
things that we purposely not keep this here because we don't have enough
yeah,
time to tease out everything.
yeah. So I was gonna okay, well, all right, it's just the flow because I've been talking about the flow. That's your being. Mm. And I think a lot of spiritual circle uses awareness and presence interchangeably. But when we use like concept, when we use consciousness, we're using it under the umbrella of the 5 aggregates, which is a split kind of consciousness, like a divided knowing. Yeah.
What's the point of all these 5 aggregates and all these models, right? The point is that, okay, so if you say that, what is yourself? Is it a self is just a thought in your head? Of course not, right? Is a self a sensation in your mind or in your body? Of course not. So what is the self then? So it's like the framework aggregates. I hope Chrissy is here or anybody who's good at math, so that maybe you can check my ass on this. It's kind of like calculus. It's like you have to split and look at yourself at the smallest, all the parts that make up of it, like differential calculus, like boop, 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 and then integrate it back. So the 5 aggregates is a way that you see all your experiences in those 5 aggregates, and then when we come together, you have a total being. But that's like takes a lot of training to be able to see that very clearly in that way. But yeah, that's why we have a lot of these models. It's just not to say, oh, we are just Buddhists. No, we use Buddha Dharma framework because it works. So hopefully that clears things up a little bit, Ramon. And shall we go to the next one? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Alex?
Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you for the practice week so far. I have a question that relates to something Albert said yesterday. It's basically, how can I make the most of therapy? He said something like, basically, like we are bringing our baggage to friends and family and therapists, and puking at them because we are not able to sit with our feelings. And so I'm curious about a comment, or advice about how to navigate this. I got a therapist now. It's not so easy to get one, and I don't think she meditates and still like I kind of want to use it because the relational aspect of this world can also be practical. So I'm just curious about like, yeah.
Alex, it's pretty simple. You stick to your therapy, and eventually, therapies, it's incremental, meaning the longer you do it, the more benefit you'll have from it. And over time, you'll internalize the skills you learn in therapy, right? And it's not opposed to meditation. So you can do both. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's really simple. It's
That's
not
why
either
I know it's like a different game. It's the human part, the human development thing, and
very important.
okay.
You're not going to get out of this modern living and your own psychology by well, let's just be real, dharmaing it away. If you do that, then you're just going to be autistic.
Not a good kind of autistic, bad kind.
No, you're just going to be like a lobotomized, drooling person who can't relate to the world, and that's not what we want. Ultimately, you want to be able to relate and be functional and capable and in a normal conventional sense. Absolutely, seamlessly. So like I recommend if you're doing therapy, keep it up, man. Like really, I do therapy. It's wonderful. It's just great. Doesn't even matter if your therapist, frankly, does Dharma or meditation. You know what I mean?
Okay. And when do you for how long do you do it, or like when do you know when it's enough, like for you? Like
I
I'm
don't
curious.
know. That's up to you. You have it's your own life. So for you to determine whether it's worthwhile or not, or even if, individually, you know what I mean? Like I think it's ongoing personally. There's no end to the management and responsibility of the garden of your psychology and mind. Because not only is there you if you are interacting with other beings, you're working with the psychology of other beings. Even if you're, say, free and psychologically healthy, and even in a Dharma sense, have no more afflictions, you still are relating with beings. So their psychology becomes you. And then you have a whole new set of problems. It's like suddenly you have all kinds of problems. Then how do you deal with that? Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Dharma as a scope generally doesn't know how to deal with that. Like, that's why most people just say get liberated and that's it. Like there's no real talk about relationship. There's no real talk about our psychological conditions, really. You know what I mean? So given
Yes.
probably the circumstance you're in, which is a normal modern person, you need both.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that can be. I mean, we got Albert, who's an advocate for that, but also we got Tom and Jace, who's Tom's currently working in being a counselor, and Jace was previously a therapy as well. And that is a very important base for just stability, well-being.
Well, at the same time, let's be clear that Dharma is not therapy.
It may have certain
Ab-
therapeutic application of it, but if you think
Yeah.
the same thing, and you
Yeah.
you kind of you mess yourself up.
Yeah. I was thinking about shadow work because like to some extent I can do like the looking at my beliefs alone and then yeah make the relational aspect or yeah make it easier to not need to puke at others because I looked at my beliefs. Um, but yeah, but still yeah apparently there needs to be some kind of like work with a therapist, so it's still helpful.
Oh, definitely. No doubt. Like that's where you learn. I mean, you're literally paying someone to relate with you. Like literally take advantage of that.
Can I jump in here? Just on the
Please.
topic of relationality. Is Adrian here? Adrian made a good point yesterday in a team meeting. I don't know if you want to reiterate what you shared in the team meeting, Adrian, about the
I th
discussions, but
yeah, yeah, I think we were discussing how I think a lot of times we come into CC often the fixation initially is on the yogic training, right? Meditation, technique, maneuvers. But what you soon discover is that the other half of it, like equally important, is the discussion space, which is what we're doing here, and the relational fitness that we're also cultivating, which I feel is like the big missing link in a lot of communities because it's just not offered. This type of relating in a consistent manner, as well as the culture that's promoted here, right? That radical honesty, willingness to have disagreements, staying, like opting to stay with attention without bouncing out. Yeah, that's something that I think acolytes often discover, is that you kind of develop this maturity, I guess, to focus on the training side, the yogic fitness, but then realizing you got to apply that into your life. And so that seamless integration is what we're aiming for.
Yeah. Because I think like there's a massive pillar of transference, right? If you can sit on the cushion and be very calm and kind, how come in the discussion you're so disagreeable for no particular reason? Right? If it's just so pleasant, why do you feel the need to prove it? Like I got it. Look at me. Like, why can't you just enjoy your own fulfillment? Why does other people have to see that? I'm not just saying that it's not a rhetorical question in terms of like you shouldn't feel that, right? You are what you are and you bring your patterns. But then in the discussion is we tease that out, like right now. But we do this like for 3 months and more and more and more. Like Adrian just finished 2 bootcamp in a row. Tom just finished 4 bootcamp in a row. That's a long ass time. Do we have time for one last one? More? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do a mail.
Is it my turn? Can I speak?
Yep.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Hello. Thanks for the sit. That was awesome. I never thought I would have a guided meditation with Frank. And so it was pretty hard for me to concentrate. I felt that at a certain point, initially it was easy, but then I felt an intense amount of contraction, like bodily contraction, and therefore also mind contraction, you could say. And it happened like 3 times. And no matter what I tried, even if I tried to let it go, it just got worse and worse. And how can I deal with that, even when it seems like letting go is, part of it? Is it karma that accumulates and tries to get out? Is it a resistance that has to come to get better? What is it? I don't understand. That's my question.
I think like these kind of space, thank you for the question, Emil. I think like these kind of space, it speaks to an infrastructural, contextual limitation. Is that we understand, right? There's 5 days of this. There's a lot of us here. When we were training, was 50 something people sitting together. Now there's still 49 people, and not all of us can talk and share. But in the bootcamp structure, we do have the structure that you would show up and talk every single day, and everybody probably would hear you out. Because there's only something like we'll cap the session at about 15 people in the actual bootcamp. It's very manageable. So we don't have to feel that it's this need to ask like 4 questions in a row. And it's just so much to unpack, right? So much to unpack. Like, where do we even begin? Is it karma? What is karma? Is it coming out? Did I do something wrong? Is it a past life thing? Do I need therapy? Or is it like, is there like a meditative skills that I can just apply and then it will go away? If it goes away, is that an insight? Right? Just so much is like to unpack here. So when it's this kind of space, or a kind of like meet the teacher or meet the instructors, kind of like once, we feel the need to rush and try to get the answer. But precisely that is the limitation of the context of this. We can't give you the kind of answer that will satisfy and be the guided principle that moves forward. It's just not very likely that we can give you a satisfying and effective answer in this way because we don't know you well enough. But what we can have though is, yeah, it's like you see my point of like how online communities have this pedagogical problem, like I was saying day one. It's a serious problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because now we don't know you enough. We want to help you, but we now give a premature answer.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like, yeah, because simple stuff could be like put in more reps and have more data. We could just try it again tomorrow, see if it comes up again. If it comes up 1 week, or if you already seen that it's an ongoing pattern, whenever these kind of intense feeling arise, you feel the need to run away from it. That's the pattern. And we go, okay, now we got something to work with. But right now, it's like we don't know if it's running away. We don't know if it's because it's too much, it's unfamiliar, or is it because that you're exposed to Frank and there's the dynamic of there's this transmission thing that you're also not clear on. Yeah.
Yeah. So can I make a very short and easy answer? Sorry, question instead. Regarding the just using Dharma to get better in life is not an option, you know. Watching a lot of Frank's videos, I had the idea that actually Dharma does help you in life and quote unquote enlightenment can actually make you more energetic, more artistic. For example, I'm an artist and there's this fear that if I do meditate a lot, I will think less and that will make my art worse. Okay. And from what I've heard today, like from Albert, you also would need the therapy aspect, the relationship aspect. And I don't know, I don't, for me, it's I either do therapy or I do Dharma because they're so different in dealing with things, with emotions, that how could I really find the common ground amongst the two? I cannot really find it. I don't know. To me, it's kind of confusing. For me, it's either one or the other. What do you guys think about that?
So that's an individual problem, you know, like we all have our existential responsibility to decide what we need. You know what I mean? At times you do Dharma, at times you do therapy. Like you have to take responsibility for yourself, brother. And it's not like Dharma will take away your artwork or anything like that. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not either, it's a setup that you're doing in your mind. You know, at the same time, the teachings are very precise and clear. Also, there's also CC, the container of CC, which allows something else entirely different. So it's kind of a layered question that's like really difficult to answer quickly. But like, I just want to be blunt with you that there's not this, there's like, it's kind of like up to you, like what you want to do with your life, brother. And like,
Sure.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, they're not opposed because it's about you. It's your life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's the answer I would give you, but anyone else can chime in.
No more chiming
Frank, what
in.
do
We're
you think
finished.
about that? If I... Sorry?
Emil, I think we need to finish for tonight, Emil. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for your
sorry.
share.
I think just the
No,
long side of
absolutely.
it is that leads to tomorrow. I can give you a sneak peek of Handsome Man Taylor because after this we're gonna go and rehearse for tomorrow. But yeah, it's a common misconception that you meditate more, you don't think anymore, right? Nah, it's just silly. It's just silly stuff. Who come up with that? Lock him up. What does that even mean?
Now, like I said yesterday, non-conceptuality, which you tap into yogically, is not the opposite of conceptuality. It's a completely distinct category. So non-conceptuality can include both
Yeah.
thoughts and no thoughts
Yeah.
equally.
You can actually think more, but effectively.
But you don't get touched by thoughts, right? You don't get tangled up by a thinker or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of these
I'm
questions are
free to
just
think.
was that?
I'm free to think.
Free to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I think a lot of these questions is coming from a totally different category called paradigm. Like what is the relationship between like thoughts and no thoughts, like effortlessness. And when you tap beyond that, you see that, the question based on those duality, you think you're applying effort, the solution is effortlessness. You have a lot of thoughts, the solution is having no thoughts. That has completely nothing to do with realization. The realization is beyond those dualities altogether, but it's not apart from that.
Thank you.
Or we think about the condition, trying to get rid of condition, and immediately we fabricate the unconditioned. And then we make another split again.
I think a lot of people on the spiritual marketplace or the awakening marketplace have very, very good intention, but they can be also very, very silly.
Hmm.
But sorry, Spark, we're running out of time, so we can come back tomorrow. Have more of that. I don't know. I also see Albert Hahn. Good to see you here, Albert. I remember you. Check out your music sometime. I wonder if he's still here. Check out your music sometime. Good to see you here, man. Yeah, and I know you raised your hand as well, and we have more time for tomorrow. Oh, and also for today, for this week, Friday, we are also going to do a live stream, and we are collect a lot of the questions that you guys posted in the poll, and me, Frank, and Taylor will be answering that on that live as well. So that's the live stream of this week. Yeah, that's on 4:30 p.m. EST. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Frank, for completing day 3, and onward to day 4. See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Have a good day.